Some of you may question the point of doing this, but to explain why I am doing a part 2 for both characters, mainly Buffy, is that secondary material for Buffy especially was not available. Believe it or not guys, not all power scalers have the time to comb through every piece of lore possible, especially the case for Buffy. Yeah, I try my best to skim through as many comics as possible, and I think I did an okay job, but now with Blade vs Buffy and the incredible G1 blog now existing, there is now a reason to do a part 2 for Buffy with a greater focus on the novels. The only reason I even made the Buffy video in the first place is because my last few videos hadn't done so well. So capitalizing on the algorithm a little was needed, and it worked. But that video does not represent the full scope of Buffy scaling as a franchise, and since I'm likely never covering it again, let's rectify that today, shall we? To start, let's go over my brief thoughts on Buffy vs Blade from a scaling/results perspective. Remember, my verdict came from a show/comic perspective. One thing I massively misinterpreted is Buffy's skill and experience. I originally stated this was only possible via dreams, but this is accessing new memories. She still has the experience of all the prior Slayers, which is a mistake on my end. The other is the Seed of Wonder feat, which I still stand by only being possible due to the site's energy draining and her temporary buff at the time. But apparently I just missed the blatant multiverse level potency feat, which apparently is massively out of context since magic doesn't even exist at the current point in time. And Silas doesn't do this himself, apparently. He just sends people to do it for him. I need some extra context. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it impacts scaling to the likes of Truth or Malaria, that hasn't changed, but it does go to show how Buffy's scaling is still up in the air. As for Blade, no notes really. I did a good job in my opinion. They could have shown more evidence for physical Spidey scaling, as this is just a sword clash. This is weapon scaling. The evidence is there guys, just mention Morbius once. And whilst we're here, Buffy did not resist Angel's magic drainage. She regenerated from it, like I said in the last video. By their own logic, it's still not enough for a Blade W, but it is a major hacks piece that makes a physical advantage moot. Not that this fight was ever coming down to that anyways. Also, when talking about the Adamantium Blade, they don't show Blade stabbing the Hulk himself, which is a bit weird, but they get the point across well. There's a couple more weapons for Blade I did not mention that we'll go over soon. They do mention that Blade's bested Zarathos, but I think they should have placed emphasis on the fact that this was, shocker, with a sword. I've seen outer Blade claims already due to this, and I'm so tired. No, he can't box Dr. Doom on his own. Also, in case anyone's wondering about Dracula scaling, physically scaling to Drac is fine enough post-Goblet, but the Boston Storm feat would likely only be in the early Megaton range, so it does reinforce Miles scaling a little. As for the conclusion, I gotta say they did a good job outside of the whole energy drain thing, but they should have placed greater emphasis on Blade's swords being equally able to one-shot. Yeah, Adamantium can be countered by the Scythe, no issues there, but that's just one weapon for both. Blade has plenty of Herald level non-Adamantium swords that would likely shatter through the Scythe physically, but I guess the reality warping would still counter it, maybe? I also didn't like them saying Blade didn't have anything as potent as the Scythe too. Like, yes, he does, but I think it was just bad wording. I don't think they're saying Blade is actually star level, guys. I think they know how powerful fucking Zarathos is. I don't think this is enough to argue Blade wins, but he can win 45% of the time in my opinion. This matchup is close. Don't let any stupid man tell you otherwise. Easily the best debate we've had in a while. So let's get to the meat of the video. What's changed? Starting with Blade, for one, his glasses actually counter hypnosis. Although I mentioned the Hell Charger, in case you didn't know, in Marvel, Hellfire does impact the soul, which whilst Buffy can resist that effect, she likely couldn't survive it. Something I think should be considered. I didn't mention the Word Sword, which also does similar, and the guy he stabbed with it absorbed power from an infinite dimension. Somehow I left out the Justiciar, the one that slayed Zarathos. It can also disrupt teleportation fields, as well as cause petrification. Then, with the breathing gun, I was so focused on its insane power, I didn't mention its bullets are tracking and negate healing. I do think it's weird they black boxed this specifically. I get it's an in-comic example of where Cosmic GR was at, but you could have mentioned he's fueled by the power Cosmic, guys. Oh, when I saw Longstay's quote debunk, then yeah, it was about as awful as everyone says it was. The biggest thing I wanted to talk about is Boyfing. someone I did not think would be on the cards for this debate. He can elongate limbs to planet level capabilities, he can bypass physical attacks, illusions, invisibility, and molecular regen. Of course, he can burn through anyone who knows fear, including Silver Surfer and Dead Celestials. I have to emphasize, this is not attack potency related. He bypasses durability to cause fear on people, which should be emphasized when mentioning the armor which gives Blade Boy Thing's powers, which again are nothing to do with attack potency. This is hacks potency, but I still wouldn't call him standard. So moving on to Buffy, not including stuff I mentioned earlier, my favorite weapon I missed is Olaf's hammer, which she can use to smack around powerful characters like Glory. Take a guess why I like it. I mentioned the petrification stuff from the game, but truth be told, the way they presented it in the preview, I figured it was from the novel. Oops. Anyways, the game gives her a shield that blocks magic, and with Hope's dagger, she can disperse the toughest of her verse across the multiverse, although doing this to regular people is not likely. Moving on to the novels, she has a staff that detects evil, and you see the green thing? That's a piece of creation itself that allows Buffy to create portals across space-time. But if that rock thing is removed, the portals will be to random places instead of specific. She has a sword that absorbs souls and energy. On her own, she can physically harm spirits. The novels also make clear Slayers are angelic, despite them also being demonic. It's weird. So yeah, can resist unholy stuff. She also resists vampirism. Then there's Camazotz. Like Boyfing, I didn't know he was on the table. He's basically Buffy's horse equal, used to cleanse evil, as well as genuinely hurt the World Eater Silas, which Buffy is fine injuring, by the way, despite him getting power amped prior. Interesting. For some feats, Ravana, a character who can move mountains, was defeated by Buffy by keeping a blade in him. So yeah, already scaling way above what I had her in the last video. And in case anyone's wondering, I do have a better opinion of using Faith's laser as valid, even if the Sunlight one is still very vague distance-wise. It should also be noted that Angel sent a Trombolar flying physically. These can cause earthquakes comparable to the Great 1923 Japan one, and possibly able to move tectonic plates, physically being charged with this earth energy. No magic here. The feats in question require 200 of them, divided by 0.5, and yeah, she's boxing Blade easily. Don't believe me? A dragon is compared to have flames in the megaton range. Guess who destroyed its energy source with a regular sword? The Whistler scaling they mentioned I haven't seen anyone talk about. See, with durability feats you have to make a bold assumption that Angel tanked the full London level bomb attack, which, considering this is just an energy beam, that's very questionable. Downscaling? Yeah. It's the same reason why not every street here in Marvel scales to Spidey fully. Yeah, they can keep up for a bit, but not every hit from Spidey is at max power. Obviously her weapons would scale though, and we could downscale Angel like we did last time, which yeah, would still outdo Blade massively, even if Large Island or even regular island level Buffy sounds wrong. The Scythe would also scale to the Gatherer, who can shake the earth and had destroyed planets before, possibly universes. Thanks to Hope's dagger, Buffy also undoes the first evil's, name on the tin, Pocket Dimension, the same dude who can transcend all of space-time. Also, you know how the Scythe can probably scale to Illyria's true form? Well, to undo existence, she stated she'd be doing it to multiple infinites. So, multiversal feat. Plus, there are multiple statements about beyond 4D space existing within Buffy, but there are also mentions of a theoretical 12. So, there is now a possible assumption Buffy's weapons scale to this theoretical higher space if we make an assumption that Illyria's potential scales to the full 12 dimensions. But this is still theoretical and should be considered a massive highball. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed this little, I guess, mini episode. I didn't have too much to talk about here, but I still hope you got something new out of it. With that being said, stay safe, and as always, be excellent to each other.